Hello and welcome to A Trip to the Movies, the podcast where each week a special guest takes us on an incredible journey as they curate their perfect night out at our fantastic virtual cinema. This week we are joined by a brilliant actress and filmmaker whose new documentary, Love to Love You, Donna Summer, is released on HBO next week and looks back at the incredible life and career of her mother, the legendary Donna Summer. Taking us on today's trip to the movies, it's a supremely talented Brooklyn Sudano. Hello!
Hi, hello. Thank you for that intro. Wow.
Hey, so
Really good.
hey, it's a big intro. It's a big intro, but it's a big documentary we're going to talk about. And I want to take you back to the beginning. What was the catalyst that inspired you to go about taking this look back at the career and incredible life of your mother?
I think it was a couple of things. It was about 7 years ago, about when I first came to my father with this idea and saying, I'd like to do this a documentary on mom. How do you feel about that? I had recently become a mother and had been dealing with my own, understanding of how to be a working mom, dealing with just the grief and the layers that come with not having your mom when you go through that experience. And so it was really on the forefront of my mind, along with just the amount of people that would come up to me and talk to me about their experience personally with my mother or through her music and how it affected them and affected their own personal lives. And so I just felt like there was a lot to be said and a lot to be unpacked with her life and her artistry, and that it was a worthwhile thing. And so I was like, let's go on this journey. And so thankfully I was, introduced to Roger and the team at Motto Pictures, my producers, and Polygram and HBO. And it just kind of became this like really amazing team. And we made a film that we are extremely proud of.
And unflinchingly honest as well. It's a very honest film. Was that important to you from day one when you sat down with Roger Ross Williams, your co-director? Were you both on exactly the same page in terms of what you wanted to achieve with this film?
Yes, I think thankfully we both had a very similar vision. And I think for him, being the daughter of, I think there's a lot of assumptions about what kind of film you want to make or what kind of film the family wants to make. And I made it very clear from day one that me personally, I'm a truth seeker. I've been an actor for many, many years, and you're always searching for that seed of truth to ground yourself and to ground the audience and the experience. And for me, it was the only way to tell the story was to be honest. And one thing that I love about Roger's filmmaking is that he tells very honest, emotional stories. And so we really were lockstep in that approach. Thankfully, my family also felt very strongly about really giving a very honest and truthful portrayal because that's what we can offer. There's been Behind the Musics, there have been other documentaries, but nothing from our perspective, from the people who really knew her the best. And we just felt like that's really how you can connect with people, is through that truthfulness and that vulnerability.
And when you talk about the honesty and having everyone in agreement about the kind of film you want to make, how was it for you personally, just going through all this archive footage and this family history?
It's emotional. I think, that you look at your life and you go, wow, we've led a spectacular life. There's been so many ups and downs, but you see all these moments of family and fun and celebration, sometimes tougher dynamics as well. And you go, wow, we've come so far and we have so much that we can be thankful for and blessed by, particularly as you are working through, the grieving process. And I think it was really cathartic. I was like, when I started, I was like, oh, I think I'll be fine. I'm pretty objective. But I think once I really started to go through all of these things, it really allowed me to find deeper healing and deeper kind of, I guess, closure as much as you can have with something like this.
So, were there any surprising discoveries that you made on this journey that perhaps you didn't know before? Forgetting what other people, fans of your mother, might or might not know, but for you, were there truths unearthed?
You know what? I think for me, it was really being able to, you hear all these individualized stories or hear about all of these, different players and characters in her life, but to be able to engage with them and to really have deep conversations and put all of these pieces together and see like the full scope. I think what hit me most was really having a much deeper understanding of the intensity of her experience when she shot to fame,
Mm.
what that really felt like and how she balanced that with being a mother of a young daughter and dealing with the expectation and all of those things that she had to carry. And I am amazed that she was able to survive that and to go on and have a successful life after that, because many people don't. And so I just really have a much deeper respect for her because of that.
It's really interesting because I think she spoke about that, the separation of the artist Donna Summer on stage and who she was behind the scene. In many ways, she considered every live performance and I guess every time she was the musician Donna
Yeah.
Summer. That was a performance to her. I think she even went as far as to say it was acting. She was actually acting a role.
Yes. Yes. No, I think that's how she approached her singing. And I think, she started in the church, but then she went into musical theater. She had this whole period of time where she really learned this art form, this theatricality, and, with hair and Godspell and all of these things that she did in Europe that I think really helped craft her gifting and bring different elements. And I think that's why so much of that ended up in her kind of pop performances and her stage performances. And she really learned to take each song as an individualized character and really bring that emotion and that feeling and that truth to each song to connect with the audience. And I think that's why she was so successful in connecting, is because she really would go there and it wouldn't just be kind of like this. I always say her shows were like immersive experiences, and I think because the way she approached these songs and singing is part of the reason why she was able to take people on such a journey throughout her stage performances.
And as well as obviously the reams of constant footage and performances that you have, you were quite benefited by the fact that your mother, she enjoyed shooting home videos as well.
Oh
She was
yeah,
one of the early adopters of having a video camera around the house.
she loved to have a camera, whether it was a video camera, whether it was a still camera. So we really had such like just gold. We had a treasure chest of these home videos, these behind the scene moments, behind, backstage doing all these crazy skits. As a kid, sometimes you're like, Mom, stop, you're being annoying. But now I am just so, so grateful because they really just capture a moment in time in a way that, just having somebody tell the story, to be able to see it and feel like you're there in the moment with them, was really such an asset to the film, and I think really lent itself to the authenticity of the storytelling, because you're really seeing it from her perspective. Roger and I would joke, would be like, she's the director, she's the cinematographer, she's the narrator, and we really wanted it to feel like you were getting to be inside her mind. And so all of those elements really helped to build that.
And you've been very careful with the use of music in your film as well. It's not just needle drops for the sake of needle drops. It's very entwined with the narrative of the piece.
Well, we felt like that was the most impactful. I think you have this, thankfully, we had so many songs. Her catalog is very diverse, and we had so much to work from, which sometimes made it difficult because we're like, how do we get some of these big songs and hits? But we didn't want it to feel like a Wikipedia page. We didn't want to be bound by, well, this song came out in this year and that song came out in that year. We wanted to use the music as a means to tell the story and to give emotional impact to the story that we were telling. And so thankfully we had a real deep catalog to be able to pull the songs to be able to do that.
In terms of what you're personally hoping, as the filmmaker, the co-director behind this, what are you hoping that audiences will take away from the experience of watching Love to Love You, Donna Summer?
Well, I think it's twofold. I think one of the biggest things is my mom was a real artist. And I think sometimes that artistry gets overlooked because of the big disco persona, the Queen of Disco, First Lady of Love, all these titles that have been attached to her. And her life was really a life of an artist. She was a massively creative person, and her artistry really transcended just the persona. And so I hope that is translated to her, to the audience, and is established as a real foundational point of her legacy. But also, more importantly, and I think this is a reason why we did choose to be so honest and so vulnerable, is that, you know, she was a complex person, not a perfect person, but she was still able to use her gifts. She was still able to have a successful life and family. But, you know, there were some tough conversations and tough things that we had to work through. And we are hoping that by us sharing our journey, that people will feel that they have the freedom to do that in their journey. And that, again, goes back to her legacy. Her music was able to join people together, to show love, to show joy, and to bring healing. And I think, you know, people will say, oh, well, it's just a dance song, but people would literally cry on the dance floor. There was something about her music that really connected. And so we're just hoping the film also is a part of that legacy and does that for the audience.
Fantastic. Well, as I said, Love to Love You, Donna Summer. It's available on HBO Max as of the 20th of May. Very exciting. Very exciting. Right now, to bring it back to our virtual cinema, Brooklyn, you're about to take us on your perfect night out at the movies. You are our guide. We are your audience. Let's go on a trip to the movies. So we push open the doors to our temple of film and find ourselves in the foyer. There's an excited buzz, as there always is in a cinema foyer, the hum of anticipation. It's your perfect cinema trip, Brooklyn. Who have you picked, living or dead, to go with you?
Well, I'm definitely not bringing my mother because she would talk all throughout the movies and ask lots of questions. So she would be very distracting. So I don't know. This question has actually been the hardest question because it just really depends on what film I'm seeing. You know, if it's like a fun bridesmaids kind of movie, I'm taking my sister. If I'm taking some art house film, I want it to be Quentin Tarantino or Martin Scorsese. So, you know, for me, it's really hard. If it's a documentary, I'm taking Roger. So, you know, it's a date depending on what film I'm seeing.
Okay, that's interesting. But the one you're definite about is not your mum. Was she a
Not
big talker?
My mother.
Big talker during movies then?
Big talker during movies. Just watch the movie, Mom.
Was it one of those situations where I had it with my own dad? He used to talk and then miss part of the movie and then ask me what's happening.
100%. You've hit the nail on the head.
Okay, so we've got a mix here. It could be your sister, it could be Quentin Tarantino. I mean, I don't want you to announce the movie you've picked for us later, but based on you having chosen that particular movie, do you have a favorite guest to go with you?
Oh, Well, are we talking about?
It's going to give us a clue. I don't want you to announce the movie. That's our big climax. But I do.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
I'm going to take Roger. I'm taking Roger with me.
Okay. I've enjoyed watching a lot of your interviews together. You seem to actually have a really good friendship as well as a collaborative movie-making partnership.
100%. We joke that Roger is now part of the family. So he and I we're bonded for life. I could not be more appreciative of his role in making the film with me, but just also on a personal level, he really gave me a lot. This is my first film. And so he really was very impactful in just empowering me and giving me the confidence to trust my instincts and to just, be a great cheerleader in this process. So we're bonded for life.
And as you said, it's your first film. I could list off your numerous acting CVs from Ballers to Taken, but have you caught the filmmaking bug from the other side of the camera now?
It's something that I love. I've really enjoyed really every aspect of the filmmaking process, from the research to the interviews to the editing process. We had fantastic editors on this film, Anat Sadi, Gene Shen, John Strait, all of the editors were so fantastic. When I saw Anat's first cut, I cried, because to see your vision come to life in a way that you could have only imagined, I'm so grateful to them. I loved that process. And so, yeah, this is my first. I will say this is my first. I'm thinking about and working on what the next one will be. So, yeah, more to come.
Fantastic. Exciting times. All right. So there is a clock on the wall of the foyer in our cinema. It reads a specific time. What time of day have we gone to the cinema?
I'm going to go for an early evening, not too late, not, late afternoon, you kind of have the lull, but then too late, it's like maybe a 6:30 movie, 7 o'clock movie.
Okay, so dinner before the movie, dinner after the movie, or dinner at the movies?
I'm going to say dinner before the movie, because I want to enjoy the treats at the movie.
Okay, so the food at the movie, that's your dessert. You're leaving space for that. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to put you down for a 6:30 screening. Now, obviously, it's quite a popular screening time. It's quite busy. Do you enjoy the communal experience of being in a movie theater with a lot of people?
Yes, I think there's something to, that's why, yes, you want to see the movie on a big screen, but I think that's part of the joy of going to a cinema, to the theater, to sit with an audience and to have this mutual experience, to laugh with people, to cry with people, to be on this journey together. And I think that's the amazing part of the experience.
And how was it for you sitting in a room, a busy auditorium, watching your own film for the first time? Were you on tenterhooks? Were you nervous? Were you relaxed? Were you just pleased at the reaction?
All of the above. I was very nervous. We had our world premiere at the Berlinale in Berlin, which was a very full circle moment for me. But I was very nervous, a lot of butterflies. But to sit in the audience and to hear them laugh and to watch them be so engaged and so just focused on the story, and to get the response afterwards and feeling like, oh, wow, okay, what we were trying to do, it landed. People got it and were moved by the film. There's nothing like it. That was just an incredible feeling.
Right then. Well, you've booked the tickets for the cinema trip, Brooklyn. So where in the auditorium have you chosen for us to sit?
Well, I don't want to be too close, because that's kind of, I want a good perspective. So I'm like 3/4 of the way up in my seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are we taking an aisle seat, or are we going right in the center? It's an important question.
I'm going towards the center, not fully directly in the middle, but more towards the center. I want a good perspective.
Okay, now in a real cinema, we haven't discussed yet whether it's just you and Roger, or you're going to be inviting more people in later. But in a real cinema, obviously, if you're in the center, you're going to have to ask people to move if you can't last the duration. Are you okay with that?
You have to take what we call a safety potty in my house. You have to go to the bathroom right before the film starts. You have to get all your snacks before the film starts, because there's nothing more annoying than having to get up in the middle of a film to use the restroom or go grab a snack.
I've been looking for a pleasant and wholesome way to address what you've just said, and safety potty is
safety
perfect. I love it. Is that a common phrase, or is that something that you've come up with?
I feel like this is something that my husband and I have come up with for our children. It's a safety potty. Yes.
Well, consider me educated as well as your children at the wonders
of use.
A safety potty. All right, brilliant. So the air in the foyer. It's full of wonderful smells. All snacks and foodstuffs are available at the various counters. What are you choosing to eat as your post-dinner cinema treat?
So I probably will do like a lemonade or a root beer. No, let's go for root beer. And I will get popcorn, lightly buttered and lightly salted. And then my favorite, Milk Duds.
Like Milk Duds. Jeez.
Yeah.
Now, for the uninitiated, talk us through the joys of Milk Duds. Exactly what are they again?
So Milk Duds are, I guess, like a caramel covered in chocolate. They tend to get stuck in your teeth, so they're a little bit of work. You have to like do a partial bite down. But they're just delicious. And then you have like the popcorn in between, and it's just a really nice, sweet and salty, savory kind of experience.
Oh, yeah. I'm feeling that. And also you've picked root beer, which is it's not something that we have that much in the UK. In
Yes.
fact,
Oh,
every
really?
time I'm in LA, I'm required to bring root beer back for a friend because we don't have the same kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Yeah, root beer is, is underrated.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a very distinctive taste. All right, I'm loving this collection of snacks we've got here. Milk Duds, lightly buttered and salted popcorn, and some root beer. I think we're ready to leave the foyer, so we shall, and walk down the corridor towards the auditorium. Now, I'm going to put up posters along the cinema wall that illustrate some of your most important movie memories. And the first poster I'm putting up depicts your fondest movie memory.
My fondest movie memory is actually The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. And it's because it reminds me of being actually in Japan. The first time I saw that film was in Japan, and my sister and Amanda and I were watching it with Japanese subtitles on the bottom. And so it is just a memory. We were on tour with my mother, and we just fell in love with the musical and just watched it so many times over. And so that for me is my fondest movie memory.
That's amazing. So you were in Japan. It's very strange. Somehow, watching films in foreign countries does seem to often come up as people's fondest movie memories because of how unique an experience it is. What captured you about the film? The songs, the performances? Were you singing the songs immediately afterwards?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think once you see the documentary, you realize that our life was like a living musical. So it just felt very apropos and very natural for us to kind of see this film and to see, okay, we're just walking along into, on in the green grass, singing Do Re Mi. Like that was very much our life. So it felt like a very natural thing for us. And so but to see the kids and the dynamics and just all the amazing songs. Julie Andrews is so lovely and charming in the film. So yeah, there was so much to that felt like home.
So, well, I'm assuming that your mum was rehearsing, getting ready for the performance that evening. So you got to go to the cinema. That was your day.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually think it was not even in the cinema. I think it was actually in the hotel room that they were like, we have something special for you because there was no really American television. So we were like, what are we going to do? And so they brought it in special for us to be able to watch.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I love it. Okay, we'll continue down the corridor. Our second poster depicts your worst movie memory.
I think it was seeing the movie Labyrinth as a child with David Bowie because it gave me nightmares. I think it was just a little too intense for me at the time that I saw it.
Okay, roughly what age are we talking?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 7 or my older sister Mimi is 8 years older than me. So there are certain things that we saw because she's like, "Oh, I want to see this." And so I think that was why we were watching it. But it was, I think was supposed to be a kids movie, but it was just like there was a couple of scenes there that just stuck with me, and I remember just not sleeping well afterwards.
Was it the quite terrifying puppets and I believe some juggling fireheads? Or
Yes,
was it
I think so.
Yeah? It wasn't just how tight David Bowie's pants were in
No,
that
no,
movie.
no. I don't think I was even aware of that part of it. I think it was some of those other scenes that felt a little intense and dramatic for my young brain.
Okay, I'm going to put down Scary Muppets, and a poster for Labyrinth is going up on the wall. Right, our third poster depicts the last performance that brought you to tears.
It was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I
Oh,
think that for me, it caught me off guard because that movie was so vibrant and so colorful and action packed in so many ways. But also, it was funny. My sister Amanda had seen it before me, and she was like, "Oh, just wait, Brooklyn, just wait. You're going to be emotional." And I was like, I found myself crying watching these rocks with googly eyes jumping over a cliff together, and it was really just so well done and so unexpected. But yeah, had me in tears.
it's the mother-daughter relationship, isn't it? By that point, you are so engaged in this relationship between them
Yeah.
that even though you are just watching googly-eyed rocks rolling down a cliff, you are so invested in what that represents.
It was so very well done, so very well done. And I mean, I think that's great storytelling, is you care about the characters, you have gone on this journey and you can see yourself in the story, and that film did a very good job at that.
Right. Good. A poster for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is going up. And we continue down to our final poster, which depicts your unpopular movie opinion.
Well, this is just a very pop cultural one. I recently went to go see the Super Mario movie that just made $1 bajillion in the box office, and I did not like it at all. I didn't like it. I sat through the thing and I was like, I don't like this, but everybody else did. So,
It's isn't it weird? Do you never get worried where seemingly everyone has gone to see something and everyone has come away going, "No, that was great," and you're like, What did I miss?"
right. Yes. And I think that has a lot of, again, like pop sensibility. It's, a cultural touchstone for a lot of people because of the video games and all of these things. And I grew up playing that game, but the film lost me. I don't know. I didn't feel like it had, again, maybe the character connection and impact that I wanted it to in the storytelling. It felt a little disjointed to me, but maybe I'm being hypercritical of a cartoon, but a lot of times the kid movies are some of the best movies. They have to appeal to many different audiences and age ranges, and they really hit the nail on the head. This one particularly for me didn't.
Did you go and see it with your kids, or
It was actually my son's first film. So yes, I saw it with my kids.
oh my god, this was his first experience of a movie theater
Yeah.
ever.
Yep. Popcorn, red vines, the whole thing.
and tell me, did he like it though?
He liked it. Yeah, he actually asked last week to go see it again. So I think he enjoyed the experience.
I mean, that's a vote of confidence to want to
Yeah.
see a movie again. I mean,
Yes.
there's no wonder it's made $1 gajillion, because there
Exactly.
you go.
For his 4.5-year-old mind, it was a win.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard mixed reviews. Weirdly,
Yeah.
children seem to love it. Adults, not so much.
Yes, yeah.
Right then, that's a poster for the Super Mario Brothers movie going up. And we've arrived at our last set of doors. Now, there's a queue of people hoping to join you and Roger in the cinema. Do you want to let them in, or do you want to have an exclusive cinema auditorium all to yourself?
No, let's bring in the other folks.
All right, the crowd go wild. They're pouring into the auditorium. Now, before the movie begins, we're going to play a few things on the big cinema screen. And the first thing we're going to play is the trailer for the film you're most looking forward to. What film are you most looking forward to coming out?
Actually, it's Roger's his first narrative film called Cassandra, that I have not yet seen. It premiered at Sundance to rave reviews, and I've only heard about the amazing performances and the writing, and so I'm very thrilled to be able to see that soon.
That sounds great. And I mean, will you be seeing it with Roger? Is he going to take you?
I hope so. I hope so. I think it premieres in the fall, so we'll see.
Fantastic. I know very little about it other than I saw that it premiered at Sundance, and I was like, I wonder. I'm looking forward to seeing it as well because obviously, his work, his Oscar win. I mean, we're talking about an Oscar winner here. It's always exciting when he moves into a dramatic movie. So yeah, I'm excited as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, next up, we're going to play your favorite shot or sequence from a movie.
Well, it was hard to choose one, but I feel like it's any Spike Lee dolly shot. I think, whether it's Do the Right Thing, I think they're so iconic and so Spike that, it really, he made his mark with that kind of shot, and it's just so impactful. So that would be my choice.
That's fantastic. I mean, yeah. Shall we go for the one from Do the Right Thing, just because that's the one you mentioned, or do you just want to play an entire montage of every Spike Lee
No,
dolly
let's just
shot?
do the right thing. That's such a fantastic movie. I can stick with that.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Yeah, he's an amazing filmmaker, and I've once had the pleasure of sitting watching him have breakfast at the Mondrian Hotel in LA. The first ever time I was in LA, I looked across, I was like, "Oh my god, it's Spike Lee!" And it took all my power not to go over and go, "Hi, big fan," because
Yeah.
obviously we don't have people having breakfast in hotels like who you sort of recognize from your childhood watching
Right.
movies as you do in LA. It's just
Welcome to
uh,
Hollywood.
it genuinely felt like that. It felt
Yeah.
like I was like, this just happens all the time here in Hollywood. All right.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So you very kindly printed out T-shirts as a gift for our audience with your favorite movie quote on the front.
Mm.
What is that movie quote?
If you build it, he will come from the field of dreams. I know it sounds like a little cheesy, but it really is, I think, so true to life. It resonates with me because it's what I did with this film. It's an idea that I said, you speak it and it's able to come true. And so, I really try to live my life by, if you build it, it will come.
That's a really positive outlook. Do you have to make an effort to remain that positive and that sort of creatively optimistic, or does it just come naturally?
I think it's a choice. I think personally, like, not every day is a great day, but you can choose for how you perceive something. And I think in life there's so many hard things that are going on in the world, and yes, they get to you, but I think ultimately we can choose our joy, and we can choose to create a life that is joy giving to other people. And so I try to live in the positive as much as possible,
Hmm.
because life is hard. It's not always easy. And so if you can do it with a smile or with a song, I think that makes things go a lot easier.
Yes, yes, and it's about those selfless acts that you don't ever expect to have paid back, that
Mm.
that still keep you feeling like you're on the right track, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
No, 100%. And for me, this film, the documentary, has been that. There was a lot of work. We went through a global pandemic while we were, putting it together, doing lots of interviews over Zoom and editing over Zoom. So some of the conditions weren't ideal, but it was a vision that I believed in and Roger believed in. And so now I have a lot of gratitude that we were able to create a film that we feel proud about and that is impactful.
And I mean, considering that you were working under those circumstances, the honesty that has come from some of the people who you interviewed on the film, it's a testament to you and Roger and being able to bring that out of people, because people are unflinchingly honest in it.
Well, I think when we first reached out to people, or I reached out to them, I think I try to let them know that I was going to be okay with whatever they said, that nothing would be shocking to me, that I wanted to understand and know the truth, that it was important to me to really have that, and that that information was going to be in a safe place. It wasn't going to be used in a way that was going to be salacious or try to hurt anybody. But in order to really tell somebody's story and understand their full impact of their life, you have to know some of the tough things, the journey that they had to go through in order to understand other people and connect with other people. And so thankfully, people were willing to be honest and share their stories.
Fantastic. Right. We've only got one more thing to do before we announce the movie that you've picked, and that is to play your favorite song or score from a movie.
That's really, really hard. I will say I'm very excited to see the Little Mermaid movie. You know, I go to another child's, childhood movie. But that song also, the songs from that part of your world resonates with me so much because it was a song, funnily enough, that my sister Amanda and I sang on stage with my mother. So it was something, again, this mother-daughter, parent-daughter relationship that was reflected in the film, that also was reflected in our own lives. And so I would say maybe part of your world from The Little Mermaid. I mean, there's a lot of songs, but that one there's a nice connection with.
And what were the circumstances that brought you on stage with your mother and your sister to sing that song?
Well, we went on tour with my mom, and so we had to work backstage and do, we were roadies. We were, managing the quick change booths and steaming people's costumes and setting out makeup and all of those kind of things. My mom wanted us to really understand just how much of a team effort it was to create a show and not just the fun part of performing. She knew that we would enjoy the performance part, but also wanted to understand how much work it took to make a show like that happen. So we got to do both.
Wow! So you really did work. Like it wasn't a free ride. It wasn't.
That was our summer job. 3 months on a tour bus.
Wow! Well, I don't know whether I'm stereotyping what my image in my head is of a roadie, but they certainly look like they wear a lot more denim than perhaps you do, and often have beards and don't. Yeah.
You would not be wrong in that assumption.
Oh, wow. Great. Well, look where we've arrived. It's time to announce to our excited audience and Roger in this packed auditorium the movie you have picked, Brooklyn, out of all others to screen for us tonight. What are we watching?
I saw recently a film called Bobby Wine for President. It's a documentary about Bobby Wine from Uganda and his impact on society there and his trials and tribulations of going up against the president and trying to create change in a country that does not want to change there. And so I know Roger has deep connections to Uganda through God Loves Uganda, his film. And so I just was very much impacted by that film and think it's a great film for people to watch out for.
Okay, you are going to have to literally treat me as someone who is coming to this information completely blind. So, could you tell me a little bit more about this story, this man, what the backstory is?
Yeah. So Bobby Wine is a musician in Uganda. He's like a singer and performer, a rapper, and so he would write these kind of political songs, and he became a politician in the Ugandan, I'm assuming, I don't know exactly, I think it's the parliament, whatever their structure is, government structure is, and really was trying to create change for the people there and go up against some of the corrupt forces in the government, and had a lot of pushback. There was a lot of violence perpetuated against him and his supporters to kind of squash down those elements to change some of those things that were going on in the country and continue to go on in the country. So it was just a very compelling film. There was a lot of music in that documentary as well. And he's just a very interesting character. And so I was very much impacted by it when I watched.
So that movie, once again, is Bobby Wine for President. That's what it's called.
Yes, Bobby Wine for President.
I'm going to look out for it.
It's a documentary that's fantastic.
Brilliant stuff. Well, that's it, Brooklyn. The curtains have closed. The guests are milling out, smiling, chatting, and thanking you for taking them on an incredible night out at the movies. But before you go, it's time for this week's mystery question, as we asked, what's in the box? So I've got a box with a mystery question in. Okay, so we've talked a lot about your work as a filmmaker, but as an actress, is there a dream role that you, Brooklyn, would love to portray on the screen?
You know, I think for me, it's always trying to play interesting people and characters. You know, I've never done actually a period piece. So, you know, I would love to play, you know, a singer in Harlem in the 1920s or 30s, or, you know, a struggling mother in a Western, you know, something to that effect, where you're able to really kind of capture a moment of time, you know, kind of like we did in this documentary. I would love to be able to do something like that.
Fantastic. A singer in Harlem in the 1920s. That's wonderfully specific, but I love it. I love it.
You know, listen, you gotta be specific with your choices, right?
Right. Absolutely. Oh, okay, Brooklyn, that is it. Your taxi has arrived to ferry you back to reality. But before you leave, let's recap your perfect night at the cinema. You are going with Roger Ross Williams at 6:30 in the evening after dinner, but so you can have dessert at the cinema. You're sitting 3/4 of the way back, not quite the middle, but not the aisle, because you've had a safety potty first. You are ordering root beer, some lightly buttered and salted popcorn, and some milk duds. We're putting up posters of The Sound of Music because it reminds you of being in Japan. Labyrinth as your worst movie memory because those Muppets are damn scary. The last performance that brought you to tears was from Everything Everywhere All at Once. And the final poster depicts your unpopular movie opinion, which you didn't love Super Mario Brothers, the movie, despite the fact that it's made $1 gajillion and everyone else seems to love it. We're going to play the trailer for Roger's new movie, Cassandra. We're going to play a Spike Lee dolly shot. In fact, the one from Do the Right Thing. We're printing on the t-shirts, if you build it, they will come. Then we are going to be playing Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid to listen to in the auditorium before we screen Bobby Wine for President. Wow. What a night. Have you had a good time?
Yeah, it's a little schizophrenic, but you know.
I love it. What an eclectic night. That's all we need. Honest answers. I love this documentary about Uganda, but just before it, we're listening to music from The Little Mermaid. I just think there's such a wonderful collection of moments there. Thank you very much for taking us on this trip to the movies. Have you had fun?
Yes, so much fun. And my belly is full with popcorn and milk duds.
Wonderful. That's all we need to